Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be my 2024 reading wrap up. I cannot believe I'm saying that. Like, that was the first video I ever posted on my account. It's officially been a year that I've had my YouTube account, which is insane to me. I wasn't sure if I would still be posting. Like, it was just kind of like a trial run to see if I enjoyed it and whatnot, and obviously I did, hence why I'm still posting. But yeah, I'm so excited to be making this video again. I loved making it last year, and yeah, I just find it super fun. I love watching these from other people, so I thought I'd do it again. I want to preface by saying I know my bookshelf looks really empty. All the books are here. I have them all on my floor because I'm going to be showing you all the ones I read. This year I read 43 books. Some of them I'm not going to be talking about because they were for school, and I don't really count them as like the books I read this year. They're just kind of like to the side. Obviously I did read them, but I didn't really enjoy the ones I read for school. It kind of felt like a chore, so I'm just not going to talk about those. But yeah, these are all the books I read for fun. We started off the year strong with Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I finally finished the duology, and I love this duology so much. I've talked about it before. While I'm explaining these books, I'm not going to go too into detail just because I feel like the video will be really long, and I'm also really bad at explaining books, so you probably aren't going to get anything out of it. I'll give you guys like a brief little summary for some books, but this one, it's a fantasy book. This one is more of a world building fantasy, with kind of like a side plot of romance, which I really enjoyed. Usually I like the forefront to be romance, but I actually really enjoyed this duology, and I was really sad when I finished it, but this one I rated 4.75 stars. It wasn't like perfection, but it was up there. It was up there. Then I read Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series, and I love this series with my entire heart. I have a sweatshirt for it. It's on my poster right here. I think about the series every day, and this is my favorite in the series. This one is about Cade, one of the brothers, and it is a babysitter and single dad trope, which I eat up every time. I have talked about the Chestnut Spring series also a lot on my channel. I love this series. This one I rated 4.5 stars. None of the books in this series were 5 stars, but like I think the series as like a whole was 5 stars to me. But yeah, this was the highest rated one I've rated in the series. But then I don't actually have the paper copy of this book. I borrowed it from my friend, but I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and this one I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a cute little YA romance. This one I rated 3.75 stars. Like, it wasn't anything insane, but it was good. Like, I did thoroughly enjoy it, and I think about this one every so often. Like, it's not just like one that I read and forgot about. I do think about this one sometimes, but it's just a high school romance. It's nothing special. It's cute and an easy read. And then the next book I don't have. My friend is borrowing it right now, but I read Done and Dusted, which is the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. And I love the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I've only read the first 2 books. I haven't gotten around to reading. I think there's one more out right now, and then a 4th one's coming out. Or maybe, I don't know. But I thoroughly enjoy this series a lot. It's a cowboy romance. I honestly don't remember too much about this book, but I just remember enjoying it while I was reading it. I haven't been into the Rebel Blue Ranch kind of world in a while, so I do need to get back into that. But Done and Dusted, I did rate 4 stars, but now that I'm thinking back at it, I think I would rate it like 3.5, just because like I don't remember it too much, but I do remember like thoroughly enjoying it. So I think I would bump it down to like a 3.5, but it's still a really good book and a really good series. And then we're kind of switching over to a different genre altogether. I kind of got into a lot of dark romance this year, which I do enjoy dark romances. It depends on how it's done. Like, I tried reading the Devil's Night series, and I read the first 2 books. I wish I didn't. I can't get through that. I know some people absolutely love it. It just wasn't for me. I could not I couldn't get through it. But I think I have found kind of like my sweet spot in dark romances, where it's like, yes, maybe some questionable things are happening, hence why it's a dark romance, but it's justifiable. Like, I can kind of justify it. But the next book I read was Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. A lot of people have a lot of love for this book, and this book is very dark, don't get me wrong. This one was not really in my sweet spot, though I did really enjoy it. I hate to admit it, I ate this up. It's the only thing I would say is that it's so thick for no reason. Why did it need to be this big? Like, I don't know. This one I rated 3.5 stars. It was one of my guilty pleasures, I'll say. I had a fun time reading this. I just felt like it dragged on and on and on. And there were some things in it that I was kind of like, what? But other than that, it was good. This is a stalker romance, so if you do want to read this, look up the trigger warnings and just know that it's pretty dark. But yeah. Then a completely different direction again. I went back to the Rebel Blue Ranch world and I read Swift and Saddled. This is the second book. I've heard so many people say that like this isn't their favorite, like this is their least favorite in the series. As of right now, my least favorite is Done and Dusted. I really like this one. I don't know why, but I really liked it. I rated this 4 stars. It is kind of insta-lovey, and that's what a lot of people don't like about it, but I honestly didn't mind that part. Like, it's more boy obsessed, which I do like. If it was more girl obsessed, then I would not have liked it, but it was slightly insta-lovey, but it's a really short book. Like, how non-insta-lovey can you get, you know? Then, sticking with the kind of cowboy theme, I read Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the 3rd book in the Chestnut Springs series, and this was my least favorite in the whole series. I just really didn't connect with it. I was so excited for Jasper's book, which is who the guy in this book is about. I was really excited for his book and to kind of find out like his backstory and stuff, but it really just fell flat for me. Like, I feel like this had so much potential. Some people absolutely love this one, but it fell flat for me. Like, they're just on a road trip the whole time and like nothing really happens. I feel like this one was just not it for me. I didn't get like that cowboy vibe, which I know he's not a cowboy, but like, I don't know, this series is about cowboys and I was expecting a little more. So yeah, this one I did rate 3 stars. And then right after that, I read Reckless, which is the 4th book. And this one I really loved. It was a really good refresh to remind me of how much I do love this series. This one is the pregnancy trope though, which I feel like made it better, which is not a common thing for me. I usually hate the pregnancy trope, but something did it for me in this. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was really good. The female main character in this book, I thought I was gonna hate her because in all the other books she's kind of like the mean one, and I thought I wasn't gonna like her, but after reading this, like, I loved her, and I loved Theo, who's the male main character, and the relationship together. It was kind of sad, but I did really love this one. And this one I rated 4.25 stars. I was debating rating it 4.5, but I didn't quite love it as much as I loved Heartless. But it's more than a 4 star, so I just did 4.25 because that's in the middle, but this one was almost my favorite in the series. But Kate Eaton just does it for me every time. And then I read my first Emily Henry book, which was Book Lovers. I didn't like it. I feel like that's such an unpopular opinion because I've only ever heard good things about this book. I just didn't like it, and I don't know why, but I just feel like nothing happened and it was just so boring. I will say I do love Emily Henry's writing. That was the one thing that actually kept me reading this, was the writing style, but I didn't like the plot. I didn't connect with the characters, and it wasn't for me. And it wasn't what I was expecting either. Like, this is kind of like a small town romance, which I wasn't expecting. This one I rated 3 stars. But now thinking back at it, I think I would rate it like 2.5. When I rated this, I didn't want to rate it low because so many people liked it and I was like scared to say that I didn't like it. So I just did 3 stars, where that's like, I enjoyed reading it, but it's not memorable to me. But I didn't enjoy reading it. I struggled to read this and it wasn't for me. So I think I'm gonna go 2.5 stars because I did love the writing style and I feel like it had potential, but it just wasn't for me. So I'm gonna go 2.5. And I'm sorry if that hurts your heart. It's just my personal opinion. And then switching kind of back to dark romance. I wouldn't say this is a dark romance, but it does have some dark topics. I read Lotus by Jennifer Hartman. This one I didn't rate because I didn't know what to rate it. I liked it. It was hard to read, not because of like the writing style of the story or anything, just because it was really, really sad and heartbreaking. This one is about a little boy who gets kidnapped and then shows up. I think it was like 20 years later. I was so frustrated for the main character and everybody surrounding him. Like, I was so angry for them. But I mean, it is a good thing when a book makes you feel like that. And then I was getting into the mood for like summer romances because starting to heat up, I could go out tanning, and I wanted to read some summer romances. So I finished the duology and I read Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I read When in Rome last year, I'm pretty sure. And this is just a cute little small town book. This one is about the girl in the first book's bodyguard and the guy in the first book's sister. So it's like Grumpy Sunshine. This one I rated about 3.5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed my time reading it, but I don't remember too much about it. And then I read Carly Fortune's new release this year, which was This Summer Will Be Different, and I enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed her first summer romance, which was Every Summer After. That one I think I read either a year ago or 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And then I never read her second one, which was Meet Me at the Lake, because that one I heard pretty much only negative things about it, so I didn't read it. But this one, I thought the cover was really cute and it was giving a lot of summer vibes, so I picked it up and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This one takes place on PEI and it's best friend's brother trope. I rated it 3.5 stars again. Then I read Abby Jimenez's new summer book, and that is Just for the Summer, and I loved this book. This is my first Abby Jimenez book and I want to read all of her other books because the writing in this was so good. And not just the writing, like the whole story and how it's like, it comes off as just like a cute little summer romance book, but it gets so deep. Like the characters are so complex and they each have their own problems, and like they really dig into that, and it's I really like this book. And this one is really for my acts of service girlies. This man in this book, Justin, he is the blueprint for acts of service men. And some of the quotes in this book were phenomenal. And I really, really connected with the main girl, Emma. I really, really recommend you read this if you haven't already. You don't even need to read it in the summertime. It's deeper than just a summer read. Trust me on that. This one I rated 4.5 stars. It wasn't... I'm very, very picky with my 5 stars. Like, I loved this book, but I didn't get that 5-star feeling. Like, I get... Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I get like this feeling when I know that book is a 5-star, and I didn't get that for this, and it was really saddening. See, like, even just now, like, thinking about my 5-star reads, like, I get like this like excited feeling inside. Like, I can't even explain it. But then after that, I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. I wanted to read this last year when it came out, but it only came out in hardcover, and I really dislike hardcover books. And I had Book Lovers and paperback. I didn't want to have this in hardcover and then Book Lovers and paperback, so I waited for it to come out in paperback to finally read it, and I loved it. I guess it was just kind of a fluke with Book Lovers, but I loved this book, and I'm so glad I gave it a chance, because after reading Book Lovers, I was kind of like, do I want to read Happy Place? But I'm glad I did. This one is about a group of friends who go back to their summer beach house for one last summer. And this couple who had broken off their engagement but didn't tell anybody in their friend group how to pretend to still be together. I rated this one 4 stars. It was really, really good, and it really put me in a summer mood. And I want a friend group like this. I really, really do. Like, this is so wholesome. And after reading all those small town romances and just cute, easy romance books, I went back into fantasy and I read Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This is the novella between Powerless and Reckless. Just thinking about this book, I want to cry. I genuinely bawled my eyes out for days after reading this book. Even though I knew how it was going to end, because this book takes place during Powerless, so it ends how Powerless ends, you know? So I knew how it was going to end, but it's still, it made it so much worse. And this one I rated 4.5 stars. And then since I was so sad, I decided to read the second book of her series, which is Reckless. And let me tell you, I ate this up. A lot of people didn't like this one, or was like, it wasn't as good as the first one. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I loved it. Loved it. I love Kai. I love Peyton. Their banter is everything to me. Genuinely, if I want a book with really good banter, I just have to open one of these. Like, it's genuinely so good. I don't think I have read a book yet that has banter that matches this. I did rate this 5 stars. I got that 5-star feeling finally. And I am so excited for Fearless to come out. I have already pre-ordered it. I am ready. I love Lauren Roberts. I love her writing. And then I went back into dark romance and I read Haunting Adeline. I liked this book a lot more than I liked the first one. I'll say that much. It was way darker though. Over half the book is about one really touchy subject. I cried through a lot of this book, I'm gonna be honest. It was so heartbreaking, and it is so sad to think that like real people go through things like this. Obviously not exactly like this is a book, but the topic does happen to people, and it's really heartbreaking to think that like this happens. And it's now one of my biggest fears. This one I rated 4 stars, which I think is a bit high. No, I like this about 4 stars. It's still stalker romance, but it's more on a different subject. So definitely look up the trigger warnings before you read this book. And then after I finished that, I just felt kind of empty just because that book was so heavy. So I stayed in that world and I read Satan's Affair, which is about a character from the first book who you briefly see. And this one I rated I think 2.5 stars, just because yeah, it was entertaining. This character is super entertaining and fun. But this whole book, it was really short, but this whole book was about one scene in Haunting Adeline that we already read about. It was just in her perspective. I was a little disappointed in that. And then the highlight of my year, I think you guys can already guess what book series I'm going to talk about. The Boys of Tommen series. This is really heavy, but these are my babies. Every book was 5 stars, 6 stars. This 6 stars. This series, 6 stars. I don't give that out lightly. I barely give out 5 stars. 6 stars. Thank you to my best friend Mary, who made me read this series after a year of trying to convince me. I genuinely don't know where I would be without this series. I think about this every single day in everything I do. I can't express to you how much I need you guys to read this series. I didn't want to because it looks really intimidating. It wasn't enough. I need more. What do you mean this is it? I need more. Give me more. I don't care if it's you're repeating things, just give me more. I cherish these with my whole heart. And for Christmas, I got a special edition of Binding 13, and I am very happy about it. I really want the ones Larry customized because those are so beautiful, but they're sold out everywhere. And if you want to get it from a reseller, it's quite literally $300. Nobody's selling it for a reasonable price. So I guess I'll just have to look at it from afar, unfortunately. And then after I read that groundbreaking series, I don't know how to explain to you guys. I literally think about that series every single day in everything I do. Call me dramatic. I don't care. I'll shut up about it now, but read that series. And then whenever I'm in a book slump or I'm just not motivated to read at all, I will read one of Freida McFadden's books, just because I read all the ones I've read in one sitting, and they're really easy to get through. So I read The Inmate, and that one, it wasn't my favorite by her, but again, I read it in one sitting. I started it at 9 p.m. and I finished at 1 a.m. It's a thriller. It's not a romance like at all, but I just didn't like the way it ended at all. Like, it was so unrealistic, but it's a fiction book. What can I say? Yeah, that one I rated 3 stars. It was what I needed at the time. It was really easy to read. All of her books are super, super easy to read. That's one thing about her that I really appreciate. And then I guess wanted to go back into the Hunting Adeline world, and I read Where's Molly, which is about a character that we kind of get a note from in Hunting Adeline. Like, her journal was found, but that's all we really know about her. And then she kind of gets her own book, and we kind of get like her story, which was nice. It was good. I did want to know like what happened to her and stuff, and I'm glad we got that. But yeah, that one I rated 3 stars. Nothing special. I enjoyed my time reading it, but... And then I read the last and final book in the Chestnut Springs series, Hopeless, and this one is not a lot of people's favorite. It wasn't mine. I rated this 3.75 stars, I'm pretty sure. I just didn't see the chemistry. You know, like, I feel like it was like forced and they weren't really meant for each other. But yeah, and I get like Grumpy Sunshine, like, that's fine, but the guy in this, Beau, was just sometimes just flat out rude. I'm like, why are you doing that? You can be nice. It won't kill you. That was just not his vibe. That's just not what he wanted. But, and then I think it was like September, and I was getting into kind of like the fall Halloween vibe, and I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This was my first ever book by Ali Hazelwood, and I really liked it. I know this was like her first time writing like a fantasy-ish book. I ate it up. It was really easy to get through. It's not too thick. And it was good. It's about the vampire princess-ish. It's like the governor's daughter. And then, like, I hate saying this word, but like the alpha of the werewolves. It's an arranged marriage between them, and yeah, I love arranged marriages. And I love Twilight. I love this book. I rated it 3 stars. And then I did my first reread of the year, and I reread the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. And I will forever love this series. This one is also like a 6-star series to me. Maybe Boys of Tommen is like 7 stars, because this one is a 6-star series, but I didn't love it as much as Boys of Tommen. Basically, I have like a tier level. Boys of Tommen is like at the very top in a gold cage, unmovable, it's stuck there. It will never move. But then like slightly under it, not in a cage, but still there, is this, the Mindfuck series. And this is a dark romance series. It's not as dark as some of the other dark romances I've read, but I would still definitely look up the trigger warnings. But this one I feel like is kind of like a good start if you want to start getting into dark romance. But this one is about a serial killer who dates the FBI agent who's on her case. I love her. Her name's Lana Myers. I love her so much. She's like one of my top book girls. And I know you're gonna be like, but she's a serial killer. That's insane. She kills for a good reason, and she doesn't just kill people. Like, she has a specific list, and it's for a good reason. I know there's like no good reason to kill anybody. Obviously, it's illegal, it's wrong, it's bad. But she makes me question my morals. Let me just say that. And then, I think I actually read these before I read that. Oops, but I read The Little Stranger Duet, which is very, very dark. They're each like 200 pages each, if that. But they're very dark. I hated them. That was my line. They crossed my line. It was whacked. He's insane. He's a mute, and he's insane. And it's like step siblings, which is where I'm kind of like, I know you're not related, but you guys are basically siblings. What are you doing? But some of the things that happened in this book, I was gagged. I had to put the book down, take a deep breath, go take a walk, bleach my eyes, come back. I rated them both 2 stars. I do not recommend them. Unless you are like thoroughly a dark romance lover, don't read them. They're slightly traumatizing. Just because of how insane the guy is. And then, I know I said I wasn't going to mention any books from school, but I do want to mention this one just because on Goodreads it was so highly rated and I was confused. And there is a movie that has Andrew Garfield in it, which is the only thing that kept me motivated to read it because I wanted to watch the movie. But that's Never Let Me Go. I don't know how to say the author's name, but I rated it 1 star. I very much disliked it. Nothing happened. Like, you know how in like when you write a story there's like climax, which is like the big kind of idea of the book, and then it's like the solution and everything. This book didn't have that. I was waiting, it was climbing up, and it just never got there. It never got there. But then I read Phantasma by Kaylee Smith, and I loved this book. Oh my gosh. It reminded me so much of Caraval, which I have missed so much. I love that series. But it was like a Halloween Caraval. It has like ghosts and spirits and phantoms and everything. It was so good. And the plot twist in this book, I kind of predicted it, but I didn't know how they were going to pull it off because like it didn't make sense to me. And then that was it, and I was like, I was jaw dropped. I love this book and it's perfect for Halloween time. I think I read this like, on Halloween and it was perfect. I rated this 4 stars. I think I would rate it like more like a 4.2, but it was really, really good. Then I read The Shepherd King duology, which I have been wanting to read for a while now, and I'm so glad I finally did. This I rated like 4.5. It was so good. Like it was like a gothic fantasy almost. Like it gave me like that dark kind of vibe. It reminded me a little bit of Once Upon a Broken Heart with like, I've actually never read Once Upon a Broken Heart, but like the whole card system thing is kind of like the same thing in those books as well. And it's like, it's not too complex of a fantasy, I feel like. And like the romance, I do feel like it's kind of like a subplot. Like the main plot is the Providence cards. Did really, really enjoy the romance that was in the book. It was really good. It was really good. And then finally, to finish out the year, I started ACOTAR. I started it extremely impulsively, but I don't regret it. To be honest, I didn't overly like this book. I did rate it 4 stars. Like I did, the ending saved it, but in the first half, nothing happened. I'm not going to get too much into this one just because I do have an ACOTAR reading vlog that's going to come out when I'm done the series. I'm on the 2nd book right now, but yeah, so stay tuned for that if you want to see that. But yeah, this one I rated 4 stars. It was good, and I'm really excited to finish the series. So those are all the books I read in 2024. I am so glad that I finished my reading goal. My reading goal was 40 books, and I did read 43, which was good. This year my goal is 50 books. I think I can do it if I don't get into a slump at all, which I'm hoping I don't. But yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you guys who do watch and support me. I do greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I can't believe it's already been a year with this channel. That's crazy to me. I never thought it would get to this day, even though obviously it would, but it's crazy to me, and I am so glad that I am doing this. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!